All right, folks. Well, it is the fourth Saturday of the month, so it's time for our Rec Poker study group on the Learn Pro Poker material that Ryan LaPlante and Learn Pro Poker have made available for us each month. So I'm just going to share my screen here for a quick moment and just show everybody where you can get your hands on this. So if you're a premium member, you just go to our video archive, or you can just click down here, video. And Learning with Partners is the program. And all these fantastic learning partners share their videos with us every month. You can go behind the scenes and take a little look at what's going on with some of our learning partners. On the first of the month, most of these videos are 15 minutes long, which is a little taster's choice. But Learn Pro Poker gives us a full hour every month on the first of the month. So every month, if you want, you can go to the first of the month and you'll see this Learning with Partners Learn Pro Poker video. You can watch it here, or you can just watch it right on YouTube. The subject this month was post-flop theory part 2, and we go through a hand history review of Ryan LaPlante's, some of his play. In this one, I think it's his own play that he's reviewing. So I don't know if everyone has had a chance to watch the video. It's okay if you haven't. I took a spin through it and made some notes as I was reviewing. One of the things that I thought was really interesting about the way that Ryan reviews his hands is it's very, a lot of this stuff is it's kind of been solved. Like hand reviews, you're mostly just kind of like skipping through every hand that you play in the tournament until you find something that's interesting, or that you've got a tag on it while you were playing or something like that. And Ryan really leans on his own knowledge when it comes to finding which spots to analyze. And then he really leans on Range Trainer Pro as an analysis tool. So does anyone here in our group right now, does anyone do their own hand histories? Like, do you guys review your play by looking at hands in Poker Tracker 4 or in something else like that? Anyone, feel free to jump in if you do or don't, or feel free to put in the type.
Oh, I do. I love using filters and trying to find mistakes and things.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it helps me any, because I still don't fix what I find wrong.
Well, that's the first step though, is finding the leaks, right? Finding the things that you're making mistakes with. What about you, Joe?
I just mark hands as I'm playing them and review them then the next day or the day after.
Yep.
Just
Charles?
individual hands.
I got 15 years of hands in Poker Tracker 4 that I never look at.
You never look at them.
No.
So how do you, in a big picture way, how do you kind of think about where your leaks are or what you need to improve on strategically as a player?
Mostly I'm doing other readings and everything else. So like the way that I learned is more reading than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And figuring out what I'm doing wrong and obviously trying to correct them. But even then it's more of I need to slow down and think about situations a lot more rather than just reacting. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. Poker is a game where there's so many competing factors at every decision point. It's easy to, I think, just kind of get lost on like what are the actual important factors that we should be prioritizing in this hand or in this spot. So Joe, you were saying you mark hands and you tag hands while you're playing, and then you review them individually afterwards.
Yeah, and then I look at the hand plus all the hands in the range as well when I'm studying them.
Yeah, that's right. That's smart.
Because every single day I play, I have at least 20 spots where I'm in game and it says, I don't know what to do here. So I just tag them and then study them.
Yep. I like that.
That's what I do.
Do you use different tags, or is it just review later is the only tag you use, or?
Review later. That's all I do. I'm not very good on computers, so I just keep it simple. But
What about you,
even when
Eric?
I'm in a hand, I often just tag a hand in progress because I just know I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's normally what I tag, but I do have different tags like 3-bet questions or C-bet questions. I always try to tag a hand, whether if it's in an ICM situation, I always try to tag it ICM so I know that you should be playing tighter. I also tag like PKOs because they should be playing looser. So
yeah, that's smart. I've just pulled up Poker Tracker on the side here. I'll just share my screen again. So if you're using Poker Tracker, you can go up to configure here and tags, and it'll give you this window. And I put a bunch. I don't actually use a lot of these, but when I was first putting this together, I thought about the live and unsure one. This is the one that I think is kind of like what Joe was talking about, where I just didn't feel perfectly confident in how to proceed for whatever reason. And so later, when I'm looking for spots to review, I can just pull up this tag and it'll pull up all those spots where I was just like, huh, I didn't really know what to do there. And then I've broken some of these out into errors because this is the same way that I categorize players by the kind of errors that they make. And so I think if I'm trying to think about my own, and usually I'll apply some of these during my hand reviews, because when you're paying more attention to them in review, you can kind of drill down a bit on what some of the errors are that you were making or that someone else was making. Sometimes if it's something that I think is very illustrative of a leak in an opponent, then I'll put opponent study. And sometimes if I'm just trying to use filters or reports to go like multiple ways into something, sometimes the filters and reports can't quite cut it in as many dimensions as you want. So I like to just have this mouse one where I add routine review, where for instance, if a filter won't let you filter out all the different variables, but they can let you do all the different variables -1, you could pull up that other variable and tag all the hands that have it with routine review. And then when you do your other filters, you know to only pay attention to the ones that have this tag on them. So that's sometimes a way to get real nitpicky into the different tags. But I
can you
use this
show
one.
everybody how to add a tag?
Yeah, sure. So let's say,
Oh, that was it right there.
oh, how to add it in here? Yeah, great. Sorry,
Like if
yes.
you want to do one that says for ICM or whatever. Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, so let's add one here for ICM. And let's just say it's like the here's one, for instance, where you can put this one in when you're at the bubble. So
That's actually the
sometimes,
most that's the most useful one that you suggested to me. I really like that, Jim, that bubble.
yeah. And then you know when you're reviewing the hand history, am I in the money yet or not? Because you can't tell that from your database because that information's in like the lobby of the poker client. So I'm glad you took that note, Rob. That's awesome. Yeah, so actually here, I've got it already for this one, the bubble. And
Z bubble.
Yeah, that is because it's alphabetized. The problem is that you can't change the order of these except alphabetically. So I put a little period at the beginning of the ones that I use the most, just so that they're up at the top. And then, so yeah, adding is really easy. You can just pick whichever one of these you want, different colors or different icons or whatever. And then editing is also easy. Just select the one that you want, and we'll call this one final table. Bubble. And actually, I guess I should call it the final table. And then, you can kind of, again, just while you're reviewing your database, you can see, and obviously deleting is just as easy. I find this, one of the things about Poker Tracker you have to, this is like an old programmer's trick to name file names with a period or with an A or with a Z or something in front of them to make them appear in the order that you want. This is a bit of a
Numbers.
tangent. Sorry?
I've used numbers.
Oh yeah, numbers. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Numbers are very popular. One of the, let me see where, let's go. If you go into statistics, you can configure statistics.
Huh.
And this is where you can choose, for instance, in the, actually here, let's go to Note Tracker. So for Note Tracker, I'll just, I don't know if I can make this a little bigger. Yeah. So for Note Tracker, this is the part of your HUD that takes notes on all the hands that go to showdown of your opponent. And so if we were in, actually here, so let's just, I'll just pull up a hand. This is a hand that one of my clients has played recently. So let's just take a look at, and actually let's mask players' names, because we might have a lot of hands on some of these players. So this is my big, stupid, complex diagnostic HUD. And a lot of the HUDs that you guys are going to be using have this little box with the notes in it. And this is what Note Tracker generates. So you can see if we open this up here, they're organized by pre-flop for a P, and then flop, and then turn, and then river, or overall. And they appear in that order. And you can toggle these on and off. Normally, you have a ton of pre-flop and flop notes and not that many turn and river notes just because they take a long time to aggregate. But the order in which these appear pre-flop might not be the way that you want them to appear in order. And for me, I really want these to be grouped together a certain way so that I can get at the information I need immediately. And then here, you can also add these tags while you are reviewing, which is, I think, a great way to drill down. And you can also add notes on the hand as opposed to notes on a player. So let's just go back to, let's get out of here. If we're configuring, or if we're using a Note Tracker, you can configure all these notes that it tracks. And I actually went in and renumbered all of these. This is what Charles was talking about. I renumbered them all to start with limping and then calling actions, passive actions like that. Then different sizes of opening raises, blah, blah, blah. And then I just used this very simple trick of just numbering them all and leaving spaces and gaps so I could come back and add other pre-flop ones or limping ones without having to renumber all of them. A lot of these I wrote from the original Note Tracker program. It comes with a bunch of notes automatically built into it, but you can take them and duplicate them and then edit them. So, like for instance, there's a raise first in range, I believe, that comes with the original one. And you can see how this gets expressed down here. Here's the filters. These are the actual rules that you ask it to follow. And then here's the text that appears in your Note Tracker. And you get to customize all this with, yeah.
So this is a PT4 add-on?
No, this comes right in it. This is part of your PT4. We're in editing mode right now. But you can also basically, so like, let's say that one of the rules was raise first in 2x range. You select that one, you duplicate it, and then you change it so that instead of these being the rules. Let's say you wanted to add, like what I've done, to go to 2.5 or 3x. Now we can go into here. You can see all the different filters that are being applied to it. And you would turn this off. And you would change it to between 3 and 3 to get the value of exactly 3. So we're actually just going to copy this one. We're not going to save it, so we can actually get out of here. And in somewhere, let me see if let's see if we get one when we go out of hands. Don't have a ton of hands on any of these players other than this one, but getting those kind of detailed changes in the notes can be really helpful. And I guess we only started talking about it because of the numbering sequence here, but it's that same kind of thing. This is all, Charles, if you open up your own poker tracker and go up to note tracker, you'll see something very similar to this, but with just a different set of notes.
Yep.
And then you just manually go through and edit them or duplicate them and then save the new ones. Which is kind of a similar way that I think people should think about HUDs. Like, here's a very, let's just start with a really basic tournament HUD. So this is what Poker Tracker comes with. There's the player stats, and then there's some table stats here as well, which is the live average stack. So you don't have to feel like you have to build your HUD out completely from scratch. You can start by just taking one of these, duplicating it, and giving it a new name of one that you want to work with. You have to build one for each cash and tournament because they have slightly different rules to apply. And then just make all the changes that you want. Add stats, take away stats, change colors. Like here, if we go to, this is my big goofy diagnostic one. Obviously, I mean, a ton of stats here. But the different group stats are all ones that, you know, I just started with one of these other HUDs and duplicated it and then started building it out from there and adding my own color ranges and, let's see, you know, adding my own frequencies and that kind of stuff.
There's definitely lots of rabbit holes you can go down and spend
Oh,
hours.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think when it comes to like HUDs, it's actually really helpful for you to tweak yours yourself because it's a communication tool to you. It's like shorthand handwriting. HUDs, what makes them great is delivering a lot of information in an efficient manner. And since you're the only person whose interpretation of that information matters, it should be in a way that's really customized to you, which is why like mine, this big stupid one like I'm talking about, this is
Like, how the
really
hell do you play?
well, I really
Like,
just, for me, the colors really guide me. Like these are all grouped in ways that I can sort of look at it. Like this bottom line is all about the flop. This top line is all about pre-flop. You know, these are all about flop, turn, and river as the aggressor. So I'm not trying to sort of like read every part of this perfectly in the moment that I'm making each decision, but I just need to pay attention to the parts of it that matter to what I'm trying to do now.
But this is the HUD that you play with every day.
I do, yes. Yeah.
So what happens when you get into a tournament and you're 9-handed? Like, where the hell do all the boxes go?
I mean, yeah, they vie for screen space. I do find that I have to sort of like just let myself see that there are cards underneath there. I also, when I'm playing live, I play with a higher contrast card. I play with like a bright yellow card back and a dark everything else. So it's really obvious to me whether someone has cards there or not. This is only if you have like a lot of hands on people. If you don't have a lot of hands on people, it's
it's
not
pretty
really
good.
effective.
Right,
Yeah,
it's gonna be like, most of the numbers are gonna be zero, but
yes,
I'm
exactly.
having trouble basically just following the table act, and let alone reading the information on the very simple HUD that Poker Tracker 4 creates. I
Mhm.
haven't tinkered around with it at all, and it's like I'm having trouble basically moving shit around.
Yeah. Well, so one thing that we can do, let's just talk about that. So like, let's use their default tournament HUD. So one thing you do, it'll be in a weird layout like this every time. So the one thing, and every time you do a new update for Poker Tracker, you'll probably have to redo this, but go up to here and click unlock layout. And this would be just the same if it wasn't on the replayer, but it was on your actual tournament screen.
Right.
Once you unlock, put them all where you want them. I like to personally, I
And
take the,
it's very important to have the player names on there too, because when they get scrambled
yes,
like that and you don't have the names, you're just blubbering
that's a
your lips.
great point. Great
Yes.
point. Really underrated. It's really important because that does happen. That definitely does happen.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh yeah. And then if you go to lock and so you can go to lock layout, but if you go to lock and save layout, then it will, for every 6-handed table you sit at now until the next update, those things will be in the same place. And I like to put the common stats up here, the table stats, and you can see a different version in this is in the Rec Poker HUD here.
And I don't know how often you guys use your stats, but I usually just use it when I have a question. Like if I'm thinking about 3-betting, if I don't know the player, I'll look and see how often they call a 3-bet.
Right.
But I really don't need that stat up. I could just have a pop-up on their RFI or something that has 3-bets under the pop-up. So I don't need that big monster.
And the pop-ups are great.
Yeah.
And there's different, like, some of them are pretty detailed. Like this is the one that comes with the Rec Poker HUD, which is a pretty good level of detail, but it's not, it's positional, but it's not like overwhelming. The one that comes with my big complicated HUD. Oh, no, it's not the right one.
And then you can go through and color code every one of those so they're different colors with different stats. And
Yes. This is just a slightly different interface for the pop-up. But it just came from a different one of those default HUDs that Rec Poker came with. But I think the color coding is really key because, like I say, this is like, if you didn't build this would be difficult to play with because it's just like way too much information. You don't know what's important and what's not important. But like the Rec Poker HUD, sorry, did someone have something? But like the Rec Poker HUD here, I think this is still like a lot of information, but it's pretty simple and like it's grouped well, I think. So like this one's VPIP, PFR, 3-bet, and cold call. So that's all very important, like pre-flop information. And then the number of hands. And then I always put on the right here, fold to late position steal, because when you're down here on the button, you want to look to the right and see that number pretty easily. And so I put that on the right side. You're going to look left, and it's going to be one of the first things you see. And then limp fold, raise first in from late position, and then fold to pre-flop 3-bet after raise. So I think that's, again, like pre-flop, kind of getting a sense of how positionally aware is the opponent. Do they limp? And if they do, how balanced is it? Are they someone that you can 3-bet against? How often do they fold? Like I think you were pointing at earlier. And then C-bet, fold to C-bet, total aggression frequency, and the frequency with which they went to showdown. And then, like we say, just the note tracker itself, hero. And then the biggest one is the number of big blinds. And I think this is just so important that it's bigger than all the other stats and it's bolded and underlined. It's in the bottom right of the HUD box. So you can always just see exactly what that player's stack is. And then up here, these are the common table stats. So the biggest one, this is again, my heroes big blinds. So if you've got like 6 tables up, you can see immediately just by looking how deep are you. This is the table average big blinds. And then this is the table average VPIP, PFR, and 3-bet. So you can just get a sense again of sort of how aggressive is the table as a rule. And I developed most of these when I was playing cash games, and in
Yeah.
cash you play against a lot of the same opponents a lot, so I get a lot of hands on people, and stack depth matters a lot. If people have huge stacks or if people are getting short and not topping up, you might play against them differently as well. So that's so notes, tags. We were talking about adding tags to hands when you reviewed them, and I think having different tags is helpful if you're trying to study like different errors or different mistakes or different points of emphasis. And let's say here, I'll just share my screen again as an example. So again, we're just looking at a client of mine and their information here right now. But let's say we only wanted to look at, actually, this isn't a good way to do it. Let's look at it from here. Let's say we wanted to look for 3-bet spots. So we could say, what are we looking at here? Oh, actions and opportunities. Pre-flop raises, any 3-bet. Add that to filter. So now we're only looking at, and let's see. Let's open this up. So now we're looking at only hands that involved a 3-bet. And now we can select. So I'm just clicking there and I'm going to shift left click. And that brings up every hand in this section. And then if I right click, we can say tag selected hand. And this is where we might say routine review. This is where later we want to only look at hands that were 3-bet. And so now every hand in here is going to be like that. Now, just for the sake of argument, let's say we wanted to clear these filters. And let's say we were looking for something else. Like player position, actually, let's say player position is in position on all, add to filter. Again, we're going to see a big collection of hands down here, but we could say show only marked hands, and now we would have a different way of getting at this information. So now we're going to see all the hands where someone 3-bet and was also in position. So you could do it in here just by adding that other 3-bet filter to this filter set, which would be sort of like the typical way to do it, and that would give you the same information. But sometimes you can't filter for everything in the same one, or sometimes you want to filter for one thing and then have it come up in a report later, and the report page might not have the same ability, so you'd be able to have all that there. So I guess just for the sake of it, then let's untag.
I'm assuming you can filter out for dates as well, because obviously some of the hands that I have are a decade old, and I'm assuming that those
Yes.
have limited relevance now, right?
Yes, and you can actually do that right up here in like the master filter. So you could say since date, let's say, since, oops. I wonder if that works.
And I usually just go back to where I have like 50,000 hands, which right now for me is about a year. But
Yeah, 50 is a good number. 50 is a good number. You get a lot of good data out of a 50,000 sample.
and I actively study. So if I study anything more than a year old, there's a chance
Right.
that I've actually studied it since then and gotten better. So
Yeah, and that's always the tension. That's always the tension between you want to have a large sample size, but you want it to be representative of the actual game that you're playing, the actual decisions that you're making. So that's always something you got to sort of weigh. I think for hand reviews, it's more important that it's a recent set of hands. For database reviews, I think it's more important that it's a larger sample because you're going to be looking at it in a very different way. Hand reviews are really good for finding the specific thought process involved in a specific hand or a street decision, but it's very inefficient. Like it's hard to find leaks spot by spot. It's a lot easier to find leaks by looking at a database of information, cutting it up by position, by actions and opportunities, looking at different win rates, seeing what the variables are. And that's so you kind of get different things out of it. But if you're getting in 50,000 hands a year, that's pretty good volume, Eric. I think that's something you should be feeling good about.
yeah, I don't know. I know there's people who play that much in a month, but I have a
but
job.
they,
So
they don't have a job. Yeah, exactly. They don't get a chance to touch grass very often either, I don't think. So
yeah.
Okay, so Joe asks, if you're playing regularly in small fields with the same opponents, what's the best way to drill down on an opponent's tendencies? So great.
Oh, that's easy.
So, well, Eric, give us
Just go up to the top left and click on your name and type in their name.
yeah, so this is it. So if you are playing in games with online games, you've got hands on people. One way to do it is just to select them as the player that you're analyzing, and then you'll pull up all of their hands.
Oh, you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, ha! Thank you. Good call. So if we're in view stats, if we're in view stats here, then no matter what these headings are, let's say we're in tournaments or let's go to see.
Cash game bias.
Yeah, exactly. I
What?
just saying the
Yeah.
same thing.
You can just pick me. You can use me if you want. I don't care
Do
if
I
my
have you in
stats
here?
come up.
Here, let me.
I'll just type it in and show them how to
Yeah, I've
search.
looked you up before. I know I've got you in here. So is it E. Anderson or Mouse in this one?
Mouse Anderson 85.
Mouse, yeah. So this is a great example. Yeah, we'll use.
Oh, maybe it is E. Anderson.
Let's check.
There it is. No,
Oh, that's weird. What? Hold on,
I'm Mouse
let me make sure
85 on.
Let me make sure I'm in the right database. Yep, I am. Okay. What's your Poker Stars? What's your home game?
I thought it was E. Anderson 85, but
All right, let's see. That's weird,
Weird.
isn't it?
I'm gonna have to look now.
Could I have
Oh, I'm
you in
updating
here?
my poker tracker, so I can't look in. I can look in Poker Stars, I guess.
Yeah, weird.
Try Mouse
That is
85.
weird. Yeah.
Just to, yeah, E. Anderson 85. It's all
Okay.
capitalized, but that shouldn't matter.
Oh, you know what I think it is? It's because I've got you as a alias. That's what it is. I've got your winning poker and your Poker Stars hands hands together as an alias, so you only show up as Mouse 85.
Oh, okay.
That's
But
okay.
that's how you look
mystery-
somebody up anyway.
Mystery revealed. Yeah, that's how you look somebody up. And then, so one way that I love to start is if I was looking at an opponent, Joe, and trying to find where they might be getting out of line. Now that Eric has laid himself on the altar, here for the last 20, 25 minutes or so. And I am screen sharing now. Yeah, okay, good. So this is just our basic statistics tab. So we're in view stats, tournament statistics. Our villain is our active player, and we're in the summary report, and we're grouping by position. We don't have any filters, and we'll take off this show marks tags. And this just goes line by line through the different positions. So a great place to start is just by looking at their raise first in, looking at their cold call pre-flop. Actually, I don't see that one in here. Let me see that. Cold call 2-bet pre-flop. There it is. Cold call 2-bet 2-bet pre-flop. And you know, their raise first in by position, their 3-bet pre-flop percentage. You'll find either positions or streets that players get out of line, or where they're not, you know, they're too tight or they're too aggressive or something like that. You can also, one of the things that I always find is interesting, you can just go through, and what did we say we had? Actually, I didn't save it, but let's go to pre-flop. So this one's always crazy. So Eric's a winning player, you can tell here, and so I'm happy to take a look at his stats. You might find some areas to improve, but he's already in the, you know, he's ahead of the curve here. Not many poker players are winning players, so that's fantastic already. If we just look for spots where we call the 3-bet, we're going to add this one to the filter, because this is like playing from the blinds. Calling 3-bets is, and if you notice, playing from the blinds, big blinds per 100. If you just folded every big blind, you'd be losing 100 big blinds per 100. So everyone loses in the big blinds. Eric's doing a phenomenal job to be fighting back to the point that he's actually only losing 34 big blinds per 100. Ditto for the small blind. If you fold every small blind, you'd be losing 50 big blinds per 100. And Eric's battling back to the point where he's almost break even in the small blind. So that's a big. No one wins money in the blinds. It's a situation where how can I lose as little as possible? And the same is for calling 3-bets. I guarantee you, look, we've gone from being a marginal winning player to losing 50 big blinds per 100. If we just never called a 3-bet pre-flop, we'd be a much, much, much more profitable player. And that's just because of the nature of 3-bets. Let's look in here for a second. Instead of this one, let's add where we are the one making the 3-bet. And look at how profitable we've gone from being a marginal winning player to winning over 320 big blinds per 100.
So I need to 3-bet every hand.
Yeah, that's clearly the lesson to take away from this. It's just always 3-bet every hand. But it's one of these things where you can sort of just look for different spots, different actions like this, and see how is this player doing, because just like the money flows left at the poker table, it's just like one of those things where certain bread and butter spots, like Sky Matsuhashi talks about this, if you're in position, if you're the aggressor pre-flop playing against 1 to 2 opponents, you're going to make money in that position, because you are in the structure of the hand is set up for you to make money.
Do a cold call pre-flop too.
Yeah, cold call.
That's probably my worst one. Well,
Yeah.
call it three bet's my worst one, but
No, but let's take a look at it. Let's do, and then, yeah, Joe, jump in. What's on your mind?
You can imagine there are some players, and I was one of them, and maybe still am, that do not double barrel the turn unless I have it. Does
You
that
don't
show
do what unless you have it?
double barrel the turn?
Yes, 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 yes. So here, great, another example. And yeah, Eric, as you can see, it's hard to be a profitable player when you're cold calling two bets. Just like
Or some people, some players bet flush draws, and others just call. You know,
So
two to
here's
turn.
yeah, so here we can go to turn and say turn bets, continuation bets. And this is an action and an opportunity. So one thing we could do would be to say they had the action and opportunity to continuation bet. Actually, we can go back one. Yeah, that would be fine. So let's try that. So this doesn't mean that they necessarily, oh, this is only spots where they actually did bet this is where they did take this action of continuation betting. So what we would do instead, we would have to add a filter that was like,
One at showdown, maybe?
no, it could be, so we want to say that they, in order to be in a situation where you could see bet the turn, you would have to see bet.
Turn opportunities.
Yeah, so we did bet the flop, and another filter we're gonna say is that there was not a flop raise. Okay, and so we just hit this and we say not. And we're gonna add another one that says
Went to
there was
showdown
not a turn donk.
and went to showdown.
And went to show, yeah, I guess, well, sure, yeah,
Don't wanna
let's
get
take a
there
look
yet.
at that. Let's take a look
Because
at
you
that.
can't you can't see the cards if you don't.
No, that's true, but you can still see opportunities to see bet. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that means
let's-
they're gonna have it more often when they make it to showdown too.
Right, yes, that's true, that's true. Let's look at this one first and then see how many hands we get out of it. So this is where we're saying there was a C bet on the flop, there was no flop raise, and there was no turn donk. So I
So before
think what that means is that we would have an opportunity to C bet the turn if this was the
So
case.
before you hit the button, just realize that out of the last filter, you're only dealing with 710 hands, which in this database represents less than 1% of Eric's hands.
Right.
So
Those
this
were the ones where
opportunity,
that's where you
this
took,
opportunity, but it doesn't come up very often, right?
well, the opportunity it'll come up more often than the times that he took the action, but yes, it doesn't come up very often. I think that's right. And I guess the other filter we should add is that we saw the turn. Because all those things could be true. Saw a turn. Okay, because you could say someone could just fold to your C bet and technically that would also come up. So all right, so let's
But
do one.
If you're trying to find out if they have it when they barrel the turn, wouldn't you want like a turn opportunity to C bet instead of
That's-
actually C bet? Because they're
that's
only
what
C
we-
betting if they have it, right?
That's what we've set up now. So now
Okay.
we've set up they C bet the flop and they saw the turn and no one raised the flop and no one donked on the turn. So you have now the opportunity to C bet the turn. The one that
Okay,
we
there's
looked
just
at
one
before.
filter that does that. You can just go to turn and go to turn
actions.
opportunities.
Actions and opportunities, yeah, so you can go to here, turn.
Turn opportunities.
Yes, and you say continuation bet opportunity. Yeah.
Isn't that the same thing?
It is. I just wanted to, we started with turn, C bet. And I just wanted to sort of look at the different rules that we can apply to get there.
Okay, okay.
But yes, no, it's basically the same thing. So here, let's,
I just thought maybe I was doing it wrong. That's why I want to ask.
no, you're not. This
Okay.
should end up with the same result as opportunity to turn C bet. Yeah, let's see if it does. This one, I think we got 1547,
Yeah, it's the same or a little bit
15.
more or
And
less.
whenever I make one of these, I save it too. I just name it something because there's odds are within
Yeah,
the next year I'm going to look it up again. So
let's do the turn opportunities, continuation bet opportunities. And, oh, interesting. So the other one had an extra 300 hands. So I wonder when we're not live on the air, I'll do some digging and see what those extra 300 hands would have come up to. But
Eric, you shouldn't be playing hands from MP2. You're losing too much money.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, those 6 hands.
there's only 6 of them.
You're a dog. You're a dog in those 6
I shouldn't play pocket kings, obviously.
Yeah.
Not when you're.
It looks like you got stacked 6 times.
Yeah, it does. It does. Now these are spots where you faced a turn C bet opportunity, and if you just look down here, so flop pre-flop raise, of course, and then you had to C bet the flop, and then it looks like you double barreled on 2 out of these 6 hands, and then you can just actually you can just replay all hands and report. And you can just go right through them and see exactly how each one went. Yeah, you got pocket kings twice in there, so that's pretty good. And that would be one good way to start
Ran into aces
drilling
twice.
down on that. Sorry?
So he ran into aces twice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
checked.
brutal. That's brutal. You can't feel too bad about that, at least. That's just the gods taking it out on you.
Yeah.
Joe, if you're playing in cash, one way that you can kind of get ahead of it a little. Let's see. Let's pull up another player here. The leak tracker exists in cash. Let's go to all dates. So this will tell. There's a couple different ways to cut this up. This will tell you. This is kind of just a fun little thing of how lucky or unlucky you are by standard deviation. So like this player, for instance, is not making sets as often as they should, and they're really not making straight flushes or they're not making straights as often as they could, and they're a further standard deviation away from making sets or hold'em. So you'd say that this player was like running bad. Would be one neat little, but really it's this leaks analysis tool here. So if you want to just take a quick glimpse at what you or an opponent is doing wrong, you can come up here, run the leaks analysis. This is only available in the cash. This is not available in tournament play. And this will even say like there's only 4,000 hands here. That's not enough to really tell us that much. But once this is finished running, we'll be able to go from position through position and see what our opponent is doing wrong according to this program, and where they might be getting out of line. So like, for instance, they're 3-betting. The green range is where they want you to be. The gray range, the light gray range, is sort of like the acceptable margin for error. And then the dark range is outside your what they would advise. And so the black line is you. So this player is PFRing a little on the aggressive side. The gap between their PFR and VPIP is a little high. They're 3-betting outside the preferred zone. Their flop aggression frequency is too high. So that might give you a sense. Their small blind 3-bet against a steal is very aggressive. Their one when soft flop is very high, so that's interesting. This might tell you some areas where you can start to drill down, but ultimately it's going to be a function of looking for spots like this, I like to use my HUD itself. So let's go back to Eric.
I actually made a report that copies your HUD because I like to use reports more than the
Oh,
HUDs.
nice. Yeah. So, and that's a great way. That's basically what I'm using it for. So like, let's pull up a hand from Eric here. And let's see. If I got a lot of hands on right here. Oh, this is this is in Poker Tracker, so it's a different, this is in Poker Stars only lets you use 3 colors. So I go with the Christmas theme. Other sites let you use more colors, and you can have more gradations of the stats and frequencies. But oh, this one, I thought, why does this one say mouse? That's funny. I thought I had shaded. Let me just see what's happening. Who am I looking under? I'm looking under you. Okay. No, it still says mouse up here. Is this your preferred seat by any chance, Eric, when you're playing? I don't know why that would have anything to do with it. Maybe we are sitting at the same table or something.
I don't know. Yeah, I usually pick the bottom at preferred seat, but I don't
Yeah.
think that should matter.
No. Anyway, all right. Well, I don't think that should matter either. Because, well, here, this is me, I think. I've got about 250,000 hands in this database, so this must be me. So this is a hand that you and I played together, and it's just telling me, Eric, that you happen to be here, and this is where I was sitting. So at 238,000 hands, that's a pretty big sample size. And you can see, I wish I could use my real multiple color one for this. When we go into the 3 color, it's not quite as easy to see where the problems are. But
The problem is you got 6 lines to your HUD, man.
well, that's what you just have to you just have to only pay attention to the stuff that's interesting to you that you're trying to look at. Otherwise, yeah, you go crazy trying to analyze the whole thing at once. Actually, I wonder. Let's see if let's look just for ACR hands. Let's game details. Or, no, sites winning. So now we're only going to be looking at ACR hands. And all right, so now we get to use all the colors. And if you want to see why I think that's helpful, it's because if you're in, so like, let's put it this way. If you're in this one, let's just use raise first in. So raise first in, 0 to 9, 9 to 15, 15 to 21, 21 plus. It's just nice to have those 4 different options. If we go to the 3 color version, you can only have, let's go to raise first in, you can only have 3 colors. So 0 to 11 is red, 11 to 22 is white because it's not mentioned here, and then 22 to 100 is green. So they only let you use 2 colors plus white. So you don't get as sophisticated a gradation between the frequencies, which is annoying. So here we get a more sophisticated look because we have different light gradations. So looking at Eric here, what you're mostly looking for are like red or green numbers because they tend to be higher frequency or lower frequency, and that tends to be where people kind of find.
And red for you is aggression, or is that danger, or how do
Red
you
for
group
me
them?
is like small, low frequencies. So tight ranges, small tight ranges. I mean, it kind of changes a bit from stat to stat, but generally green is very wide ranges. Red is very tight ranges, and then yellow and orange are kind of in the middle. Orange is typically like here for 3 bets, for instance. Actually, let's just take a look. Let's look at this one. 3-bet pre-flop, 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 10, 10 to 100. So in this, it's sort of like getting, because the ranges are getting wider, they're also getting more aggressive. So some people might think, well, like orange is like a more aggressive color, so it should be, but it's not really about aggression so much as about like how wide the range is. Like folding to pre-flop 3 bets. This is the lowest frequency. This is the second lowest frequency. This is the third lowest frequency, and this is the highest frequency. So generally, when you're trying to find where is a player getting out of line, you're going to find it in the red or the green areas, because they're to the extremes. So like a donk, this is a donking frequency of 6%. That's pretty low. That's pretty typically going to be a pretty value heavy donking range. And
He's gonna put this thing in the dick.
what's that, Charles?
Sorry, I got a guy trying to turn on my street. He's just like, yeah, that's a big truck.
All right, well, good luck.
Yep.
So
Sorry about that, guy.
yeah, that's okay. So the only one that that like there's not a lot that's jumping out at me for orange or for green and red here. I think you're good to be raising first in at a high frequency, so that's not a problem. And let me see. You don't check raise, you don't fold to check raises very often. That's something that we could take a look at. You donk at a very low frequency. That's something that I'd like to. So what we would do, so we'd see something like this, for instance, and say, okay, so they donk at a very low frequency. Like a report, what this does is it tells us, okay, where should we look more closely? Knowing that you donk at a low frequency, that doesn't really help us play against you without knowing more. So what we would do is we would go to you, and we can clear this filter, and we can just add the filter of flop donks. So now let's take a look at all the times when you bet the flop and it was a donk bet. It's going to be a small number because you don't do it very frequently. And we don't even need to open the hand because we can just tell right now. So king 8 on king 5-4. So it's a monotone flop and you've got top pair. Here, it's a rainbow mid flop and you've got middle set. This is a very different kind of board where there's 2 overs and you've got 10s on king queen 4.
That was a terrible hand.
Yeah. And then here's another one where you've got top pair. So in all of these spots, you have at least one pair. This one's the aberration. For all these other ones, you're crushing these boards. So like we said at the beginning, it's likely that that donking range is very strong. This 10 one kind of runs counter to that, which I don't mind at all. This is probably a good, let's just pull this one up. You're probably in position here. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. So this is a little weird because he went all in, but for half a big blind. So that's not, so that one we shouldn't even really be looking at because that's like a weird situation as well. So if you look at these 3, you've got top pair, middle set, top pair. So those are in the order we're looking at up here. Let's see this next one. You've got middle pair and a flush draw. Here, You've got top pair on the monotones. Do you like the monotone? Here, again, this feels like it's just the monotone board that you like donking on. And then here, this is another one of these unusual, non-typical donks. Let's see what happened here.
Terrible.
Well, I mean, that's not your, I mean, you're thinking, I raised over the limp, this guy 3-bet me. This is a pretty good board for a guy that calls 3-bets. So I don't, if you want to take the stab and fold, I kind of, yeah, I think a bet fold there is you're finding something out. Let's
The
move down
smaller
to-
bet would have been, the smaller bet
Yeah, I
would
think a
have been
smaller
okay
bet
too.
probably, yeah, and then it's the last time you fire, I think. Here's another donk where you've donked a set. Here you've donked with an overpair. This one, I'm guessing this is another C bet. Ooh, weird.
Yeah, I don't know why I do that.
Yeah, because I think part of it might be you feel like it's the only way I can win the hand is by giving him a chance to fold. And that's true, but it's the fallacy of it actually, like, it doesn't matter how many hands we win. What matters is how many chips we have at the end of the day, right? So we can just, some hands we're just not going to win. And we can just not win those hands. And then let's just see a couple more of these donking opportunities. Here you've got 2-pair. Here you've got the open-ended straight draw, so I like that one. 2 overs. Yeah, and a lot of these are going to be 3-bet pots because you're donking into someone from out of position. So a lot of these are going to be 3-bet pots. I think here again, you're just thinking like, this is my board. He, like I called, he's supposed to have a lot of high cards. And yeah, boy, you just don't like to, but it
Yeah,
worked,
no.
right? It worked. So I think you're thinking about that correctly. Here, Joe, did you have something?
Yeah, I think in 3-bet pots, he is dunking on boards that maybe suit him, or there's another place that someone 3-bet very small and you dunked. I think you were seeing where you were taking.
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay. It's cheap anyway.
Yep. And I think you do, like, there is something, I think board, this is actually one of the things that came up in the video with Ryan LaPlante. When you're looking for spots where you're either going to check raise or you're going to lead, what are the factors that you consider? And it really should be board textures. Board textures are what are going to determine how frequently your opponent can continue. And on boards like this, your opponent is so often going to have 2 overcards, just like you, that they should have to fold sometimes. So I like that approach. And then you can
But
see,
also-
it's going to happen a lot more coming out of the blinds, and these won't be 3-bet pots; these will be single raise pots.
But also keep
And,
in mind that we're picking on Eric in one specific spot, and out of your entire hand history for Eric, he's only played 237 or 235
Yes.
opportunities, right?
yes,
So
yes, that's
we're
right.
still at 0.5% of the hands that he's played, so it's not that bad. It
That's
looks
right, and
bad
some of
because
these-
we're keying on it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And some of these do go back, like this is a few years ago. Some of these are in 2020, for instance. So, and then, and Eric, you can look at this in the big blind and the small blind too. There's a lot of hands there, so you'll be able to do that review on your own. And I would be curious, Eric, maybe we can talk next month if you've had a chance to look at this. I'd love to know what you are looking for after you look at all these. I wonder if you could sort of think about, so what were the things in common when I was donking? Because it seems to be so far a mix of very strong hand strength or good boards for my range.
Or protection on monotone board or something like that.
Yeah, and you like to attack those monotone boards. And I think that also makes sense because monotone boards are boards that people overfold to. So I think you're definitely getting that sense of how do I give my opponent opportunities to fold? Because that is a big part of poker. And you know what? Here, I'm going to show, and it does sound like we're picking on Eric a bit here, but I want to share one more screen.
Oh, I love it. Pick on me.
Yeah. Well, here, this is Eric. This is your personal results over, for all the hands that I have on you. And this is a really good graph, man. So first of all, almost everyone has a losing red line. Almost everyone has a losing red line because the hands that you lose, win or lose without showdown. But you're value betting really well. Your results are excellent. You're running just slightly above EV, but this is exactly what you want to see. This is what a winning player's graph looks like. So kudos to you. And I think we're talking about maybe I think some of the donking that you're doing is probably
Correct.
like really well done and the correct ones to donk on. Some of those really strong hands, I think you might end up turning them into more profitable check raises, or on certain boards, maybe even check calls, and you can take more chips from them on later streets. But,
Like the sets and
yeah, on the drier boards, like sets on a drier board, see if you can get another bet out of them. But you'll see. So I'm really curious. I want you to take a look at your small blind and big blind donks over the course of the next month, and then let's chat in the next. Oh, and I still owe you a database review, my man. So maybe I could take a deeper look at some of this stuff myself. And, we could have a conversation sometime soon. Yeah, because I think that'll be really interesting. That'll be really interesting to. This is a spot where I think a lot of players are donking with unbalanced ranges, and if you can balance that a little better, I think it'll make you harder to play against, even harder to play against than you already are. All right, gang. Well, thanks for your time. We went a little over. We talked a bit about the LPP training video, but somehow we got stuck talking about Poker Tracker 4. Can't imagine how that happened with me behind the wheel. But thank you for your time and questions. And I really liked, I got some good comments and feedback on how to use some of these filters and reports too. So I always appreciate that. And I'd encourage you guys, check out those Learning with Partners videos, because all those other sites, they come out every Saturday, 15 minutes a pop. But on the first of every month, we got a full hour from Learn Pro Poker, and they put out some really, really valuable stuff. So check that out. And maybe I'll see you next month, if not before. All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Jim. Bye.
thanks everybody.